Now, is that the ham radio guy?
Yeah.
Right.
These guys are a bunch of cheats. They play with a little busy.
I have a. Facebook dad based out of
It really gave him
I got a ham radio, I have no license.
Good.
Yeah.
Like
We
that.
got more than one.
Yes.
Although it's not.
You know, probably those big centers.
That's all right.
Yeah,
It's just funny, I got stopped the other day with that. Yeah.
I don't think that was.
Fancy green, read of my word. What's it called? They call it my license.
Yeah. Yeah.
Half your frequency.
Oh, yeah.
I got it. Then they looked over the seat. Oh, yeah. What's that? I said, if I post it on
No kidding. Yeah, they still have. That's crazy.
you talk on this and it's all.
Yeah, they have a contract.
Right away, all on that, I thought.
I'm sorry.
Oh, boy. Okay, kind of call it the city. Okay. Well, we used to be the.
Check out the back window on the driver's side. Okay, have a good day, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Back window, I have a sticker that says U.S. Coast
Yeah.
Operational
All right, how are
Facility.
you?
See now, walking up, drop it.
I am until last night I gave my notice. Get back to normal life. Get rid of all this stress. I used to be a facility here, so
In EMA.
yes, all of it.
Used to have a Cadillac.
Yes.
Cadillac. Under Bill.
I was in pro,
Nobody else had one.
Three radios.
And they own it for.
Everybody wanted to go play with us. Yeah, stop, I'm going down the main turnpike, I'm going about 75, 80.
Oh, yeah.
It's right on my back bumper, he goes like that.
Yep.
I stop.
Actually.
She lets me roll down. Forest. Street from the guy on the past side goes south.
Good connection.
Comes back and goes, Mr. Jones, I got guys. None of these credentials are good for gravity got around the road. Yeah, God. I said, how do you know it's good? I said, because my sergeant told me so. She said you needed to have a captain's license to drive that. So I reached out and I pulled out a six-pack license and take that back to our master's got to do. I said, that's his captain's license. 100,000 gross tons. So see if he likes that. He brought back and says, yep, that'll do. You go have a nice day.
See us out?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, who's my brothers? Nothing today. And uncle was, my brother. We are small, my brother. Short list, you have to this big hill.
Yeah.
Couldn't make the other side of the hill.
Okay, yeah.
And so they had to wait for a pause. So anyways.
Enjoyed it. Good turnout.
How you doing, Sarge?
Greg is the one who got there.
Who did?
Greg?
Oh, Greg did that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Greg's the guy to show up. I mean, cause he was one of the responding
Yeah.
DEP personnel. So Steve is the one that got me in touch with the city of Biddeford.
Yeah.
To come in and talk. And Greg got in touch with Solaris. And then sending out the original email I got to Norm Cody, who was the environmental health safety person at the hospital. And he said that he was gonna send his people, so that's how we got the Biddeford, the fire department, the hospital, and Solaris. Rick was great.
Oh, at the house too? Really?
Andrew Seiler, representing the LEPC.
Richard Jones with US Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Steve Jacobson with York County Emergency Manager.
Dave Franco, York County EMA.
Kind of set the stage, we're gonna run through a quick video, because you'd like to kind of set the tone for what we're doing. But today's meeting is focused around getting back to basics for EMA, meaning that we want to look at sheltering, we want to look at evacuations. We ordered a program from the national level. Dave picked up for us. It's going to take us through kind of a realistic scenario on what do shelter in place, evacuate, and then what sheltering is involved. So I wanted everyone to think their way through it as we go through today. Think about how you apply that to your own circumstances. We've reversed the agenda a little bit today after we run the videos this afternoon. I've reversed it a little bit, so we've got our partner organizations up front so that they can get their talk. I'm going to introduce Mark, who's going to talk about the medical reserve corps in a minute. Plain.
It's my best buttery jack yet. The triple bacon buttery jack with hickory smoked bacon, bacon mayo, and my super secret ingredient, bacon butter.
It's amazing. Let's email the team.
Email? Don't worry, we're not gonna get hacked. We've been hacked. What? They got everything. Everything? Everything. Oh, who could have done this? Professionals. Whoa.
Bacon butter. What?
Oh, I haven't had lunch. Ow! The word is out. Get my new triple bacon buttery jack before it's gone.
At least 130,000 people have been ordered to leave over concerns Oroville Dam's emergency spillway could give way, unleashing raging floodwaters on the towns below. And just now, Governor Brown issued an emergency order to free up more state resources to help. The dam is about 70 miles north of Sacramento. Towns downstream that have been evacuated include Oroville, Marysville, Yuba City, and Gridley. Here's what we know so far. Many evacuees are trying to make it north to Chico, but traffic has been bumper to bumper and shelters are filling up fast. The evacuation order went into effect around 4 o'clock after engineers spotted a hole at the top of the emergency spillway. There is a plan to drop rocks from a helicopter to try to plug the hole, and there's late word tonight crews have stopped the flow over the emergency spillway. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter is live in our newsroom now with the latest developments. Leanne.
Giovanna, many evacuating tonight say they don't know where to go, only that they must get out before there is a potential failure at the dam's emergency spillway, which could possibly unleash massive floodwaters on the towns below. Traffic is backed up for miles as residents rush to get to higher ground, afraid the Oroville Dam's emergency spillway could fail at any moment. Those directly in the path frantically trying to escape.
I just got a text message and an alert just saying get out as fast as you can, and there's fire trucks that are going up and down our street saying evacuate. So we packed up our dogs and lifted up our couches and just got ready because we live right downtown on 5th and Hyde.
From the air and the ground, officials have been keeping a close eye on the dam and its spillways as fast-moving water continues to rush out. Concerns growing tonight that a failure of the emergency spillway could be catastrophic.
Essentially, what we're looking at is approximately a 30-foot wall of water.
Unexpected erosion chewed through the main spillway earlier this week during heavy rain. Powerful white water now wearing away at the emergency spillway, which has never been used before in the dam's history.
With earthen dams, once there's a crack in the dam, so to speak, and the water rushes through, it'll open quickly, and then you can have a huge flood of water going downstream, and that's the big concern.
Lake Oroville is a major link in the state's water system, sending water from the Sierra Nevadas south. The 770-foot tall dam is the tallest in the nation, and authorities stress it remains safe and is not compromised. The California Department of Water Resources has been releasing water at a rate of 100,000 cubic feet per second in a desperate race to drop the lake by 50 feet to reduce the danger.
The worst case scenario, the spillway's compromised, the earthen dam goes, you have a massive influx downstream, the diversions fail, it goes down to the levee, the levees are compromised, and you flood Sacramento.
Yes, certainly a frightening scenario and lots of concern, but officials say it is beginning to ease tonight now that they have been able to stop the water from flowing over that compromised emergency spillway. They also say that the water level in the lake has dropped. All good news, but there is another concern. More rain and snow is expected later this week.
So a good way to set the tone? I know you have been following.
Yeah, a
that in the
dramatic
news-
video shows just how
In the news on that particular dam, but one of the things that the reporter just said was kind of alarming to me and makes me really think. They said they didn't know where they were going. You're totally accurate, but we're not sure where we're going, we don't know where the shelters are, and that's coordination, communication. As we go through today's presentation, I'd like people to start and think, what do you have to do in your own town to coordinate so that you get people well informed? So how do you do that? So we'll start with partner organizations, and Martha, do you want to come up first and talk about the Medical Reserve Corps?
Probably not talk, but read. So, Martha Morrison, York County Medical Reserve Corps. The Medical Reserve Corps is a national network of volunteers who are organized locally to improve the health and safety of our communities. Medical Reserve Corps volunteers include medical and public health professionals as well as other community members without healthcare backgrounds. Medical Reserve Corps units engage these volunteers to strengthen public health, improve emergency response capabilities, and build community resiliency. They prepare for and respond to natural disasters such as wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, and floods, as well as to other emergencies affecting public health such as disease outbreaks. The third monthly meeting of the new York County Medical Reserve Corps, a collaboration between the community at large and the University of New England, will be held shortly. Local Medical Reserve Corps members are looking forward to doing an inventory of the contents of the state's emergency response trailers and then training first responders in their use, learning about the potential role of the Medical Reserve Corps in Red Cross sheltering, planning for operations of an alternate care site, and being trained in incident command structure and psychological first aid. Town EMA managers who find they need additional personnel for local emergency preparedness or recovery efforts should consider asking for help from the York County Medical Reserve Corps unit. County EMA management can request help through EMA or through Jared McCannell, Maine's CDC volunteer manager. So you might think too of the kind of things that you would like to have us put on our training agenda. Things that can help your own organization and your town efforts. Did I miss something that you two know about what we're up to?
Yeah, so Martha, a couple questions for you. I know you held a meeting in Sanford, I think you held a meeting in Sanford, how did that go?
Well, you were there too, how did that go? Paul was there, I was there, let's see.
That was the
There?
first,
That was an
first
organizational
meeting
meeting.
to sort of get people out there interested in the Medical Reserve Corps for recruitment. The exciting thing is through each public health district, we're going to be sponsoring Medical Reserve Corps. So now this will be for York County specifically, and then Cumberland County has had one for a while, and Midcoast will have Medical Reserve Corps. And we're really excited to have that level of medical care. These are going to be people that might be credentialed, licensed doctors, physicians, respiratory therapists, you name it, but also people that aren't credentialed that are vetted through the Maine Response, which is the credentialing agency for the state for volunteers. And they'll be ready to go through a deployment process, a request for that, what Martha mentioned. So I think each of them is going to be working on a lot of different things, from a little north of said alternate care site, potentially helping staff those types of things, to helping with some of the points of dispensing and the strategic national stockpile, care and dispensing, to some of the things that Martha mentioned. So it's kind of a new, exciting resource that, you know, we're really happy that each county will now have to work on. And, you know, you should be thinking of them in any of the activities you have for volunteers, on a medical end of things, also helping in shelter, the medical side of a regular shelter, of a normal shelter, which will have some low level of medical, care. It's a requirement now, so.
I've been a volunteer with the Cumberland County EMA sponsored Medical Reserve Corps for a few years. And we've provided some support at Red Cross shelter exercises where we staff something called the Functional Assessment Unit, where if people come into the shelter needing a wheelchair or oxygen or some specials that they didn't bring with them, then our function was to chase that down. We helped at the City of Portland flu clinic in at Merrill Auditorium a couple of years ago, and that was kind of an exercise, but a real thing. We assisted there. What else? I don't remember.
Well,
But anyway, those are the kind of things like.
I mean,
But,
the
UNE.
UNE clinic that the Medical Reserve Corps really helped, well, was part of, and will be more in the future, including some of the stuff that Adam's working on.
So at the moment, it's kind of a combo, the York County one, between University of New England team and the general York County community team, which is kind of my responsibility for the time being. And it remains to be seen how that's going to shake out, if it's going to be one unit, two separate units, or if we're still going to be a two-team unit. But if you want any information, well, I've got this to share, what I essentially read. Medical response, if you have people in your communities who might be potential Medical Reserve Corps members, and they can be support people as well as medical professionals. The first step is to register through Main Response, as Paul mentioned, and that's a centralized state database for volunteers. And then if somebody is a medical professional, then the Main Response coordinator will do credentialing of that individual. So if you have people who come out and somebody says they're a doctor and they've been sent through the Medical Reserve Corps, then you know that they've been vetted and they're say they are.
Well, great. And you got a handout, folks. Thank you very much. Paul, I'm going to continue going around. Do we have more to add? I'm sure you do.
Well, that's been great. Martha's been working on, among others. I also just want to mention that June 29th is going to be a full-scale exercise in Portland area, but it's going to be regional. It's going to be an evacuation of the Barron Center, which is the state's largest long-term care facility. We're going to try to do evacuation, transportation, patient tracking, and also there'll be a surge of people, patients to local hospitals. So it'll probably include Southern New Healthcare, Maine Med Mercy, a few others, York Hospital. And so that's a pretty big event we're going to try to do. We're going to actually try to transport over 100 people. Some of those will be inflatable dummies, but some will be college students, and some will actually be long-term care patients that have volunteered to be transported for the day.
What's the date of that?
It's June 29th, and it's going to be, at the Barron Center with other satellite locations, because we're going to be including several long-term care centers in the region that are interested in participating, so they'll be receiving patients, as will some of the local hospitals. There'll be some medical side to it. We don't know how big it is, basically what the hospitals, whatever they want to get for numbers, but it's something that we really haven't done in the region on a large scale. We've had 2 evacuations in my, 12 years doing this. real evacuations, but this is a much larger scale and really something that we need to work on as a region because we just they don't get to do this often. And we really need to coordinate it with many long-term care centers and hospitals. So I think it'll be an exciting exercise and hopefully we'll learn from it.
Adam, excellent, sure, I've got a couple things. The Public Health Council is still meeting quarterly. We had a meeting on Monday focusing on human trafficking. It was pretty good attendance, and we had representatives from Preble Street, the Bedford Police Department, and a survivor of human trafficking. Really learned a lot about things that are going on and some of the trends here in York County. So if people have questions, feel free to reach out and get you some information from the council. We're meeting again in June, and we'll be talking about an environmental health topic. It hasn't been determined which one it'll be. And then we're putting on an exercise on October 20th. It'll be out at the University of New England at the Harold Elton Forum. It's the hockey rink out there. We're going to be receiving state assets to set up an alternate care site. It's basically just going to be a static display. Come in and see what it's like. But we'll be working with Walgreens to have a flu clinic there as well. So, any of the police, fire, EMS, EMA guys want to come out and get a flu shot, see it, that would be great. If they want to come and evaluate the setup and the receiving of the assets, that would be, helpful as well. But as that develops, I'll share more information on the time frame and everything else.
Questions for Adam? Kate, we're going to put you on the spot, stand up and introduce yourself again.
Sure. Hi, I'm Kate Colby. I'm the infectious disease field epidemiologist with the Maine CDC, and I cover the York District. Many of you may have worked with Jeff Caulfield most recently, and prior to that, Lisa DiFideli. So I'm filling that position now. My background is in international infectious disease, and I worked for Maine CDC in this position for Cumberland County, as well as the Western District for 8 years, left for 2 years, and now I'm back. So I do have a lot of expertise in infectious disease. My main role is to investigate cases and outbreaks of notifiable conditions. There are about 70 notifiable conditions in the state of Maine, and I brought with me a list, an updated list of all of the notifiable conditions. And many of you would be considered mandated reporters for these conditions. So, if you know that confirmed or suspected cases of these things are happening in your community, we always encourage reporting at our 24/7 hotline. There's always somebody from our program on staff to answer those calls, and they can range from, suspected measles, mumps, suspected rabid animals we deal with on quite a regular basis. And then we also are a connection with a lot of the other public health partners, including health inspections, Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, Department of Agriculture, who we work with on a regular basis, including EMA. So I just would encourage you to reach out to me if you think that there might be a concern for an outbreak or questions about infectious disease. If you're connecting with people in the community that have questions about where vaccine clinics are happening or where they can get services, please feel free to give me a call at any time. And I'll leave a list of the notifiable conditions with our 1-800 number, as well as my card. My office is in Portland, but I'm just a quick drive away. So, and I should mention too that I also do a lot of presentations in the community. We particularly get a lot of requests for Lyme disease and tick-borne disease presentations. So if you've got a need like that in your community, let me know as well. Any questions?
Questions for Kate? Great to have you on board. A good introduction. Thank you. I'm sure we'll get your cards out here. Sergeant Shapiro, State Police. What's quiet here?
We've actually, it's been pretty quiet, I think, largely because it's been so cold and the weather's been so problematic that usually has a calming effect. I will say, at the beginning of the fall, we had quite a spike in overdoses, either attempted, when the person was either deceased or or just suffering from the overdose would be able to recover from that. We put in, the Troop A put in a recording protocol so we could track that a little bit better. The last several months, actually, or the last 2 months anyway, there's been quite a decrease in instances. So I don't know if that's a trend, a good trend, or if, pick back up again once the weather gets going. But I was quite alarmed going into the fall and the beginning of the year with what we were seeing. And then all of a sudden now, at least in the 5 communities that we're doing, there seems to be a bit of a lull. So we'll keep an eye on that. And I don't know if anybody else has experienced it or not. You're going up.
Yeah, oh, good.
So especially when there's a bad batch that comes through
Yeah.
Sanford and Biddeford
Right.
and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, because we were getting several a week, and we haven't had that recently. So at least in the 5 communities that we're primary
So
responsible
the
for.
policing's better here.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take credit of that. But no, I don't think that's it at all. I do think that it's probably what either the public education on the fentanyl aspect or a lack of that. So I don't know. It's too early to say what any causality of that would be.
Thank you, sir. Questions? Commander Jones?
Commander Jones. Last time I came, I had 2 captains with me.
There you go.
And I went to stand up and they said, no, we're gonna talk. I went, okay. We're starting to get into our boating season. This year, we're gonna be pushing the Wear It campaign, which is wearing of life jackets on canoes, kayaks, paddle boards, regular boats. The program, the statistics prove that if they wear life jackets, you have a better chance to make it out of an capsized canoe or kayak. We're in the process of gearing up. We're getting 30 new instructors for public education, and we're gonna be teaching safety classes for paddlecraft, and we'll be holding those throughout the state. All right, anybody got any questions for the Coast Guard? Anything they think they would need to know or want to know? He's got his hand up.
The oil spill drill that's going on, do you have any more information on that?
Not right this minute.
Okay. Heard it from the other county meeting this morning.
Right.
Okay.
Is there a list of the trainings coming up for the paddle boats and stuff?
We're gonna be, April the 22nd, we're having a meeting in South Portland. And at that meeting, we'll be deciding where we're gonna be teaching the classes and when. But we'll do a lot of them along the seacoast, Kennebunk, Wells, Kittery, York, Biddeford, Saco. Up here, we'll be doing a lot about Mousam Lake. We'll also have several going on at Sebago Lake and Lake Winnipesaukee and down the road.
So where will we find those postings? Will it go through EMA or?
I can probably send Art a list,
The dates?
but I will have them and they'll be on public access on my Coast Guard, so. When we start doing that, chief, we'll let you know, we'll let all the fire chiefs and police chiefs know.
That'd be great.
We're also starting a new program, it's called the Boat Crew Program for fire and police. So along the coast, a lot of our coastal communities have a boat that they use in the water. The Coast Guard has come out with a new operational class that they're teaching. We're doing one down now in Portsmouth. What it does, it brings the Coast Guard and say, you got a jet ski, a couple of stuff that you use. What would happen if you had an incident and you called and the Coast Guard shows up with their 47-foot boat and a helicopter, what we expect from you and how we'll work together to come up with a scenario on that. Also, it'll have a little bit to do with search patterns and other stuff that we do when we get on scene. So you'll see a helicopter come over and all of a sudden you think it should be where you're at, and actually he swings out about 4 miles and starts making a square and coming in. So he's running a search pattern. So what they do is at the center, you call in and say, I had a person fall off a raft
in Agunquit Beach. And they will plug that information, they'll ask you how far was he offshore, you say 1,000 feet. So they'll punch that all into their little computer. That gives them a set and drift from the tides and the way the ocean's moving from the different buoys that we have. And we come up with a most likely scenario area that they would be in. So we start there. So as soon as I get the idea of where we're gonna be teaching classes, we'll let you know. And of course, we'll be getting with the fire departments and the police department. And I think Wells has 2 boats.
They have just a jet ski now. They used to have a boat. Both their boats are done.
They were interesting boats.
We're happy to say they're done.
They called me, I live in Sanford, so I do emergency response. My car is an operational facility for the Coast Guard. Sometimes the state police will see a Malibu going down the road at about 80 miles an hour, and they'll think that they want to stop it, and then they'll get a call that it's a Coast Guard vehicle going on an emergency.